Hey, welcome to the process. My name is Dr. John Bush. This is week 4 matchup report that I do. Again, this is to help me. You're just kind of tagging along over my shoulder, seeing what I'm doing and how I approach my weekly game that I apply, my weekly process I apply to fantasy football. Hopefully, this will help you out. Let's move to the first game. Let me kind of uh, go over this if you've never listened to me before. And by the way, thank you. The top row of metrics, the game number 2, that's just something that I do, kind of a timing thing. Game 1's already been played Thursday night, so it's game 2. The favorite in this game is Miami. The underdog is Indianapolis, which is interesting. The predicted score is 43. The predicted over-under OU is 43 and a half. So Miami's 23, Indianapolis 20. So really not much of a spread. It's almost you pick them. Somebody has to be considered the favorite, but anytime you see a spread, under 2 points, it's pretty much whoever's got the ball or whoever makes the less mistakes as a team. This is a low point scoring game, so that's never the best scenario, especially in PPR, and if you've got a lot of passing options in this game, that low point scoring probably means less passing, maybe less activity in general, maybe a little bit more defense, which is fine if you're playing defenses, but not if you're playing the offense side. So that's the first strip of information, and I color coded it so you can kind of get a feel for the flavor of this game. In daily fantasy sports, I like to hang on the opposite type of games where there's high points predicted to be scored. So the point scoring would be high. The next block of material gives 2 rows. Each one is team specific. And so you get the game, the team, the week, which is week 4, the opponent, OPP. And under the opponent, I color code the overall defense of that opponent. So you get a snap feel for the game. If you look, Indianapolis, Miami, Miami to Indianapolis, that's light red. That means fairly tough. So I think that's explains the low point scoring. Indianapolis is playing away. Miami's home, so that probably figures on their favoritism. What is it? You're supposed to get 3 points if you're playing at home. Kind of rule of thumb. And then I have positions and words that follow is called DAPs. That's called I call it DAPs. I don't know if anyone else calls it DAPs. This is defense against the position. You may have heard it as points allowed, but it's a metric, and of course I can't leave the actual metrics alone. I've got to manipulate them for my purposes. So I set up the complete league metrics and put all those metrics and categories on a scale of 100 is the easiest scenario to 0 the toughest, and I color code each area. Dark red is tough, light red is below average, light green is above average, easy, and solid green is very easy. Okay. So just snaps right away, you see for Indianapolis that the running back DAP is 100 against Miami. And take a look at the other metrics in the 40s and 30s. This doesn't mean that Wentz and, Doyle and, the wide receivers, Pascal and etc., Pittman won't do things. It just means that they're going to be working harder against a little bit tougher situation. So it's nothing, let's just say the wind is not blowing behind them. They're playing into the wind, if you think about that analogy there. So Taylor and Hines, it looks to me like it's their game, and if I'm Indianapolis, that's how I'm game planning. See, that's the thing. We have this data, and you hope that Indianapolis has metric people and they kind of know this information. You hope. And if that's the case, they build a game plan around that. So if you have Taylor or Hines, having 100 this year, you're all in on those players for your lineups and daily fantasy sports and that kind of thing. The offensive DAP is just overall metric, kind of an average of everything else. Quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, and if anybody's involved in kickers or defense DAPs. Now that's kind of an anti kind of scenario. Basically, the higher that number, the more likely you should play that defense. So it seems to me if you're streaming defenses that Indianapolis, their defense is not, something, their defense means that you should play them, Indianapolis, and really Miami is in there too. So those are not bad streaming choices if you look at that. Miami, they get a break with the quarterback, so Brissett gets a 61. That's fairly okay, and I see the tight end gets a 55. That's a little bit easier. So Grosecki, I'm hoping it's not 100 though, folks. It just says it's going to be a little easier. So you may give a point or two credit to Grosecki and Brissett. A wide receivers 47. That's almost average. The running backs Gaskin almost average, so it kind of seems an average or a little bit easier for the tight end quarterback. I'm not sure those metrics are straying enough from 50%, which is dead average, to really, take advantage of that. I think in some of these matchups, sometimes it's best to sometimes go through and focus on the extremes. So I would consider Indianapolis playing running backs at 100 DAP against Miami is an extreme. Okay. So that to me gets more of my attention than a 61 or a 55. But that said, if you've got Brissett or if you've got Grosecki, I'm not doing anything abnormal with them this week. I'm not deliberately walking away from them either. So use this data to kind of as a compass to point you towards a direction. It's not the final say. You got to, check injuries and other kinds of metrics as well. But this is, it's not something that this low scoring game is not something that is very pleasing to me if I'm doing any daily fantasy sports. But given the 100, that may be an area I want to concentrate on. Okay. So I took a little more time on the DAPs, but that's going to be the format of all the remaining games And I like the visual because it allows you to go through and get a snap view, and then allows you to get some depth on thinking a little bit. At least that's the purpose. So game three, Kansas City, Philadelphia. Kansas City favored by a lot. Okay. And I think they'll get 31 and the other team gets 16. And the spread is about 8 points, so about a touchdown and a point. Over under is 46, so that's very close to average, a little below average. I like 46.5 as average, so it's I'm not running to this game or running away from it. Okay, versus the Miami Indianapolis, I'm a little bit cautious here. Here I'm just kind of okay. So at least that view. But then when you go to the next slide here, what jumps out? Philadelphia has a strong defense here. So that kind of worries me. They have a 14. That continues to worry me. The good news for Kansas City, look at the Kelsey area there. So that usually spells Kelsey. You know, his average is probably a touchdown, so this might even point to 2 scores. So that's good, and I'm sure Kansas City will focus and Kelsey being part of it. Tyreek's going to have to earn his points here. He's going against one of the toughest against wide receivers in this early part of the season here. Okay, 0 is tough. Doesn't mean I won't play Tyreek Hill. I probably will do that, but, you know, knowing that it is a tricky situation. Mahomes gets a 42. Solaire about an average game, but unfortunately an average at Kansas City, and this is what, you know, knowing the attempts and whatnot, some of the other metrics, that's not a, you know, average is not good for Kansas City, folks. Let's say it that way. Probably not playing either one of these defenses here. KC's playing away. That doesn't help. The figure is that KC is so much passing that they're still going to overcome this, and Kelsey's going to be the focal point. Of course, the Philly defense is going to know that as well. So we'll see. It's Kelsey versus the Philly defense. We'll see how that goes. I'm hoping for sure at least one, but if you've got Kelsey, 2 touchdowns is not overly out of the possibilities. Philadelphia, the reason they're going to get in this and maybe even cover the spread is KC is fairly easy defense at 78. That's bordering on really easy, so it's right there. Hurts gets a 97. Folks, that's tells me to play him all day with his wide receivers, Devonta Smith, whatnot. There we go. The tight ends even have 66 above average, so they could. Trouble is which one? Goddard, Ertz was last week's Ertz. So I'm probably playing my Philadelphia people as I do. Probably not because of the below average, you know, trying to stack anything here, but I'm not turning away any kind of situation as well. So I'm feeling pretty good about Philly overall and a little concerned about Kansas City here. They're going to have to work. And anytime that always puts pressure, and I always worry about injuries in their high pressure games. So just kind of, if I had Tyreek and didn't have, you know, Hartman or whoever, one of the other ones, whoever's the number 1 and 2, I think I've got that in my other article. I might pick that up right before, if you've got a deep bench, just to make sure that if anything disastrous happens, you know, or if you've got Kelsey, maybe pick up Bell or somebody. Just, you know, I get tricky about all that. Or Solaire's handcuff. I don't know. Just consider that. If a lot of your eggs are in the KC basket, these are kind of games that worry me that's going to put extra pressure. So Tyreek is going to be under a lot of pressure, and he's going to be having to make those amazing grabs and movements and jukes and that, more hard you work, the more likely you might tweak something. So just be aware. Game 4, Tennessee over the Jets. Looks like a nice spread of about 8, about a touchdown. I'm thinking 29-14. It's still a low scoring game though, folks. So I'm not stacking my daily fantasy with this at all. And in fact, it could be even lower than that. Not sure. I definitely would not play the over under. Tennessee has key injuries, and that is concerning. With that said, if you take a look below, the Jets play Tennessee's kind of tough, and what jumps out to me is their wide receivers. Forget the tight ends there. So I think the Jets will be passing, but a lot of interceptions with the rookie quarterback. But the wide receivers may have a shot here. So, this may be where I might slip in a flex position or something. That's nice. The Jets may be a good defense to stream this week. 82 is not bad. Tennessee's, look at their defense. They are all in. Play them. Play them if you got them, or go get them. And I've been trying to gather Tennessee this week. Okay. Tennessee figures to be the Henry show, and lo and behold, 95. So people say, "Oh, Henry's going to do it." Well, here's what he's running against, folks. So definitely you want him in your daily fantasy. Of course, everybody's going to have him, and I understand that. So then you start contraring yourself out of points. I got that. Okay, but just sometimes things are obvious, and this you figure 2 scores coming. So again, if you have Henry, definitely keep that handcuff there. McNichols, and McNichols could have an interesting game with A.J. Brown and Julio out. And of course, they were going to fight against a 21 anyway. Tannehill's a 22, tight end 13. So it was looking really rough for the normal passing game. Tannehill, if he can do an average, that's a win for him. So if you've got him in a super flex, be very cautious. And if you've got another starter, you might strongly consider that. But anyway, McNichol may take advantage of the Henry show and might get you more points than usual, and he's definitely a good handcuff. So if he's out there, if you've got a deep bench, I've tried to grab him in every league I could just to have. He's a good pass catcher. Game 5, New Orleans, the Giants. Despite New Orleans having a confounding offense, if you looked at my attempts and passing, I don't know how they're scoring, really. I guess Kamara, but it's very confusing. They're not throwing a lot of passes. I have concerns about them down the road. But anyway, another low scoring game. New Orleans is at home. That helps. The spread is about a touchdown +2. The Giants figure to score 2 touchdowns, 14, so 30-14. but I'm not sure I would bet on the spread or the over and under. It just, New Orleans is not maybe as good as they look on paper. Be cautious. So New Orleans does get, if you look down here, an easy show. Look, 100. That's almost the easiest defense to go against. So that works with New Orleans' kind of wacky 3 games that they've played. And so that, they figured to take advantage of that at home. And it looks like Winston gets a shot. Kamara's 70. That's okay. That's above average, easy. Wide receivers. Does Callaway wake up here? I don't know who wakes up. Wouldn't surprise me. Harris or some other person. Kenny Stills rejoined the Saints. Who knows? He could have a 2-score game. I think he might be a surprise if you have a deep bench or maybe a daily fantasy sports here. I wouldn't use any of the defenses, though. Giants play one of the toughest defenses, New Orleans, in an away game. Barkley has to fight, and there's some pressure there. 3. So stock up on his handcuff. Quarterback gets a tough show, and I think they're missing Slayton and Shepard. So the remaining wide receivers, Galladay, if Galladay doesn't produce a score, then I don't know what's going on with him. And there's Colin Johnson and a couple others out there that, kind of just roll the dice on kind of thing. So good luck on that. Being a fan of the Saints, I'm going to definitely watch, but this could go multiple ways here. I just worry about the Saints. Their 3 games have not been inspiring confidence on Metric side. Game 6, Cleveland, Minnesota. Looks like almost a you pick 'em's 3 points. I think it's 28-25. So this is a high point scoring game. This is where you want to develop stacks and play. You're definitely not using any of these defenses here. Cleveland gets an easy Minnesota, but away. So sometimes that kind of cancels each other out. The offense day up 74. That's nice. Hunt and Chubb get a 71. Sounds like they'll get theirs. Mayfield gets 59. That's close to average. It looks like the wide receivers get an average. Hooper could get you a score. He is definitely playable as a streamer this week. Right here, 120. So I would definitely consider him. Of course, it could be Njoku. I'm assuming it's not, but I could be surprised. I think one of the tight ends is going to score. Maybe even 2 scores. 120 is nice. OBJ is going to be all about the Minnesota trying to shadow him and double cover. So I don't know if any of the other ones are going to be, Landry's out. So I don't know who's coming up in that. Minnesota fights a tough Cleveland. They're at home, so that helps. But a 30 and Dalvin Cook, if he's healthy, 31. So I worry, if I'm Minnesota, I'm not sure I'd play Cook this week. I think I'd let him have one more week, but I don't call those games. But I just continue to worry. Do not get rid of Madison if you have him. If he's out there, grab him twice if you can. Quarterback, Cousins, 65. That's good. Wide receivers, Thielen, Jefferson get an average game. That's good. Conklin might get an action or two, but 37's a little tough. So I think we're going to see some multi-scores from Thielen, Jefferson. Okay. Maybe the wide running backs get a score. And then Cleveland seems to be set up to have some scoring with Hunt and Chubb. So I think that's why it's a high point. There's going to be a combination of running, scoring, and passing. I don't see it all passing or all running on that. So I think it's going to be sprinkled on either side of the offense, or the rushing versus the passing. Dallas should beat Carolina 50 points. That's a nice high point game, so expect fireworks here. Spread is at 5. But I think Carolina's in a little bit of a bind here. Dallas is tough, but so is Carolina's defense. So Carolina versus Dallas, look at the defenses. Carolina's a little bit easier show, but they're an away team, so sometimes, like I said, that kind of evens out there. And Carolina's tough, even though Dallas is at home. But 49 versus 10, I think Carolina can be a little slippery here and may surprise Dallas. I don't know if Hubbard's playing. I think he is, so he should get an average gain, a score or so. Darnold's going to be pressured. 59 wide receiver, and I don't know who their tight end is. Too bad they lost Arnold, because this is the week. So I don't know whoever stepped up. We may not know till after the game, why they got rid of Arnold. They must have a thought about that, because this is an easy game. Do not play the defenses. I guess if you have to, Carolina definitely, but you don't want Dallas's defense at all. Dallas, Zeke gets a 0, so that adds pressure. Definitely you want Pollard early and often as his handcuff. I worry always about high pressure games. Quarterback, Dak gets a 31. He's going to work for his living, but the wide receivers get a 61, so that may kind of smooth that out. And Schultz, look at that, 59. So we might get another week of some Schultz scoring. So get Schultz as a good streamer this week. I think 59's worth a streaming shot, folks. 8th game, Chicago, Detroit. Chicago should win by about a touchdown. I got it 25-18. The spread's about 3.5. It's a low point scoring game, so I'm not rushing to stack and use a lot in daily fantasy sports. With that said, both defenses are playable. Take a look at the DAPs here. Nice. So either one is, I think I've got some Chicago defense. Chicago gets an easy Detroit defense at home. So that helps the running situation. So Montgomery can bounce back and score for us here. Fields versus Dalton. I don't know who's playing. If it's Dalton, I think it's Fireworks City, and this, the over-under could be broken easily. If it's Fields, I wouldn't touch any of this for any kind of props. Tight end, Kimmett has another good opportunity this week. Still waiting for that, quote, breakout game. Here we go, 100. I guess if you want a gamble streamer or daily fantasy play, maybe that's the play here for you. Detroit, I don't know who they're passing to. Below average, a little tough. Swift, Williams get a 40, so it's a tough, not impossible. So they're going to have to earn their keep a little bit. Goff gets a 44, but the wide receiver. So is it Raymond? Is it Cephas? That may be worth if one or both out there may, or maybe even in daily fantasy sports, a tricky stack here. I don't know. Tight end Hawkinson gets about an average game, so he could be part of that stack. This could be a tricky game and could pay off in a stack. I don't know. I'm probably not playing it, but if you have your bankrolls a little fat, I'd say go ahead. You might get surprised here. Uh, Buffalo, Houston. Houston's 8 points. Okay, score 41-8. Over and under is 48, so it's above average. So we could get some high point. I think Buffalo's just going to quit scoring after a while. So I think Cooks for Houston should get lots of garbage time, and he's probably the only playable one here. The spread is 17 points. That's a crazy spread. Buffalo gets Houston. It's easy. And Buffalo, Moss and Singletary get an average game, so that either one could score. Allen, 89. That means he's going to be running and passing. And folks, Knox gets another shot this week. He could surprise again. He could be a great streamer this week. The wide receivers, Diggs, Beasley, Sanders get a 59, which is above average. So that they should have an average game, which is usually a couple scores. So everything looks like, this spread is real. Everything looks okay from Buffalo. It would be a shock if Houston. The only thing I think is I'm thinking one touchdown, but Houston should just go batshit nuts and try to pass, and that's going to take the running backs out at a 26, but they're fighting a 10. Maybe Akins or somebody on the tight end gets an average game. Maybe there's a surprise there. I wouldn't do it, but I'm just telling you there is some leeway there. I think Cooks will get garbage time. I would not play anybody else. I would probably only invest in the Buffalo side or Cooks. Washington, Atlanta. This is going to be closer than you think. So you pick them, 48. So it's going to be some passing fireworks. This could be where you set the stacks. You want to play Washington. You do not want to play Atlanta's defense if you take a look here. Atlanta gets the easy Washington defense at a 99. That's almost walkover easy. So that's what's going to keep Atlanta going, especially at home. Davis is going to have to work for his living, and they may turn away from him if this is too hard at a 39. So that means Ridley and Ryan, great stack with, okay, is it Pitts? Here we go. Should be a Pitts week. But he's rookie. We'll see. I could see that kind of stack happening here, and that might be a tricky stack for you. Washington gets a fairly easy Atlanta, but it is away. But a 71's fine. Looks like Gibson, McKissick, 91. I think they both score. And the passing and the wide receivers get an above average. The tight end, Logan. So I think there's scores and scores. So I think there's at least, I could see 3-4 scores here out of Washington. 3-4 scores. So this might be a breakable number here. It's just I wouldn't bet the spread, but I might look here. There may be some stacks and props in here. Game 11. Rams, Arizona. Murray's going to be under a lot of pressure, and we'll see how he handles that. The spread is 6. Rams should beat them by roughly 2 touchdowns, but it's a 54 or 55 over under. So high flying, stack them up, play all your main players, what it looks like to me. Rams defense is playable as well, not Arizona. I would not play Arizona. Arizona gets a fairly easy D against, but it's an away. And Edmonds, 69 is not bad. So him and could be a score or two. Murray gets 6-7. Look at the wide receivers. If they didn't have so many, you could probably hone in on D-Hop. But now, is it Green? Is it D-Hop? Kurt? Is it Moore? Who's Max Williams? If he wakes back up, he could be a good streamer this week. Don't know. This could be, Arizona could score more than 21. This could be closer than you think. So I think the spread is in doubt, and maybe this is a closer game, and the over-under could be beatable as well. The Rams, tough Arizona, 21, but their wide receivers get an above average easy game. So there you go. Cooper Kupp gets his 1 or 2. Hopefully Woods wakes up this week. I think that's going to be the show. Higbee, I think they're going to cut Higbee out of this. I'm not sure if Henderson, Michelle, or both. I'm not sure it's a big deal given this game script. Looks like it's all passing from the Rams. Enough rushing to keep the Arizona defense honest. Okay, game 12, San Francisco, Seattle. I got San Francisco over Seattle. I don't know how I feel about that. I hadn't decided. But I think the score is 29-23. Seattle has just not been hitting on all cylinders yet. So maybe this is the week they do. They are playing an away game. The over-under is 52, so that seems to imply there'll be a lot of passing fireworks and points scored. That's always good if you have players from teams that are figured to be scored lots of points. That means their players will be scoring lots of PPR goodness. Seattle, I wouldn't use either of the defenses. Both defenses are leaky. Seattle gets San Francisco at a 75. Frisco gets Seattle at a 96. So Frisco has an advantage, and that might explain that. And being at home shifts the advantage to them to win. With that said, the over/under is not in stone at all. This could fly higher than 52, folks. I would think I would hit that versus the spread. Seattle, Carson gets a 65. That's fine. Quarterback Wilson and his wide receivers. I'm not sure Everett is kind of locked up a little bit. 41's a little tough, but I'm thinking Metcalf, and if Lockett plays, if he doesn't, maybe Swain surprises us. Or maybe they do try to force it to Everett. So, it's hard. So you're asking how many steps before you feel a little shaky on your thinking. About right there. I think it's Metcalf, and I'm not sure the tea leaves point to Swain or Everett if Lockett's out. If Lockett's in, then you're almost forced to play him. Frisco at home, walkover easy defense. The running back, who is the running back? Or it's probably a crew maybe. Is it Mitchell? Is he back? I don't know. Sermon? I don't know. But whoever, it's very possible they could get 2 scores here. Look at that. 120. So it almost invites Frisco to rush. Just I'm not sure who that show is. Quarterback 61's fine. The wide receivers are fine. Looks like it's a Kittle day. Look, Kittle. 91. There's 2 scores. Should be. 1 for sure. So he's definitely in play in the cash game type situations there. Just not sure who the wide receivers are. I guess it's Ayuk. Is it somebody else that we're not guessing? Is it? I don't know. I actually forgot the other guy's name, so my bad. Anyway, if you've got the top 2, I think I definitely would not take him out of your lineups given this scenario and the high point scoring. Denver, Baltimore, low point scoring. Not much difference. Denver gets the advantage because they're at home. That's the home advantage. You play both defenses as much as you can. Baltimore gets a tough Denver at a -1. That's the toughest in the league. Denver gets Baltimore at 39. So each one is going to have a lot of pressure defensively, and the under of the over-under seems to be more in play than we might predict here. Baltimore's running game has been a mystery, and at a 21 DAP, it's going to continue to be a mystery. Jackson's going to have a lot of pressure on him. Don't know with what kind of injuries. I know he had some injuries. And 30s and 40s is they're going to have to work hard and tough. Andrews, to score. So it's going to be a bruising game for Baltimore. And Jackson may have to just take it on himself and try to rush. This could be a high rushing game and of course that puts him in a bind because he could get hurt. Denver, I think there is the Gordon show. Javonte Williams maybe, but definitely the Gordon show. Quarterback's going to be under a lot of pressure, but the wide receivers. Fant gets an average game, so I guess the wide receivers, if the quarterback can get it off, they should, collect multi-scoring here. I guess Sutton is the focus and Fant. But I think Denver's going to be balanced unless Baltimore just blows them up early. And this DAP suggests that's not the case, but, let's just say the probability suggests that's not the case. Doesn't mean it can happen, right? Anything's possible, okay? But the way to bet is it's Baltimore and Denver. It could be the last team with the ball wins. That's how this game could go, folks. So that over-under could be in play until the last pass or the last run of the game. I don't know if I want to bet props and have to worry like that. Game 14. Green Bay 30, Pittsburgh 16. Ben was having to throw little short passes. I don't know. People are saying every year I hear this. I don't know. Maybe he just likes short passes. It's a below average game, 45. Not using the defenses here. Green Bay gets a tough Pittsburgh, but the Green Bay's playing at home, so that kind of helps. Aaron Jones is going to have a lot of pressure on him, so get those handcuffs for this week. Anytime I see a high pressure game, I worry about the effects after the game. So you've been warned. If you that's the advantage of a deep bench. You can grab somebody one of his handcuffs, and then if Aaron Jones hopefully comes out okay, we hope, we pray, yes, let's do it. That he scores, etc. But in case there's an issue, you've got them, and if not, get rid of them. Look for the game, week 5 and see where those opportunities. So you hear a lot about churning, but it's thoughtful churning of your deep bench, okay? And this is one of the ways I do it. So this is part of my process, is I kind of target the churn. I don't just flip a coin. Oh, I'll take this one today, okay? We'll let our opponents do that. Aaron Rodgers is 40. He's going to have to work a little bit, but the wide receivers, Adams should get his. Tanyan might surprise, 57. So nothing here says Green Bay can't pass and score. This just worries me. I don't know how effective Aaron Jones. I mean, you play him if you got him, but in daily fantasy, I think I would just go passing stacks. I would not throw Jones in there. Pittsburgh, Green Bay's easy. That's going to help Ben. Harris probably is going to have a harder time rushing, but passing. Ben gets a 78. His tight end should score twice. Ebron and the other guy, something, starts with an F. I hadn't even seen it enough to pronounce it. And, of course, I think Dante's back, and Juju. Don't know about Claypool. So I think the shorter passes and Harris, I think Pittsburgh, if they can get their mojo going, and Ben, can do a lot of short little passes, they can be in this game. And this could be, a higher scoring game. I mean, it's hard not to play, especially, using evidence from one game. So I'm playing Harris. I'm playing everybody I usually play in Pittsburgh, I guess. 15, the old revenge game, right? Tampa Bay 31, New England 18. Spread is about a touchdown. Over under is 49. So it's going to be some high scoring kind of thing. Not super scoring, but high scoring. New England gets an easy Tampa Bay at 107. That's just walkover easy. And but Harris fights a 32, folks. I would not lean heavily on him if you've got other choices. If you don't, then play him. Mac Jones 100 and the wide receivers. So it's a wide receiver kind of day. Jonnu and Henry. Tight end, they should get theirs, well, at least one of them, but pick the scorer. I'm playing the wide receivers in New England. Okay. Brady is going to dissect the New England apart, even playing away. And basically an average, 53 is kind of average. 84. So if Bernard is out, they may give it to Jones. He may get more play than you think, but I think it's Fournette's game early and often. Gronk is a game time decision, and given the pressure that New England puts on tight ends at a 7, maybe that's good. So that probably puts Brate and Howard in there. I'm not sure I'd play either one right now. So the wide receivers get a strong, the easiest of the show of passing. So I think I would play Godwin and Evans and not worry about it. Tampa Bay's defense is potentially streamable. 16 last game. Chargers, Raiders, 7-point difference. Lots of fireworks. Early and often passing and scoring. Chargers get a home game and an 80. They should just rack up the points. Eckler should bring home some scores. Herbert should collect with Williams and Allen. And Jared Cook might even surprise us here. And maybe even the Chargers are streamer defense. Nothing to suggest Chargers won't win and won't score lots of points here. There's not a lot of weakness. It's kind of almost says a balanced, Eckler and the wide receivers, kind of a 1-2 punch, and maybe Cook in the. When I say Cook's a playable, that means he's a streamer only. He's not, somebody you play over the top, folks. Raiders get a tough show, 5. Wow, that's tough. Raiders rushing is going to be allowed. Passing is going to be shut down. So Waller gets a lot of pressure, folks, at a 33. And, I don't know if he has a backup, but this is another potential with a pressure game like this. Look and see who his backup is. Maybe collect here. I'm not sure I'm playing Ruggs or anybody wide receiver wise. I think I'm doing the running backs and maybe Waller. So I think that's what's going to happen, and I don't think Raiders can do enough to catch the Chargers. I think the Chargers are going to be, almost every time they get the ball, they're going to score something, and they're going to eat up the clock. And the Raiders, if they can beat the Chargers, then they're better than everybody thinks. But right now, there's nothing in this that suggests that could happen. Okay, that's my matchup. This article, if you don't want to listen to me drone on, you can look at the figures on my article. And fake pigskin. So come back. Hate allergies. If you live down south, you get the allergies all the time, spring and fall. Okay. So anyway, look at my article and have lots of fun. Let's crush this week. And I hope I help you out. Go see my snaps. Go see my targets and attempts. Go listen to the podcast me and D-Mike are on. Go read D-Mike's weekly value stuff. Put money in your pocket. Okie dokie. If you're a college play, don't forget Bobby the Brain Adcock. He will help you out, build that bankroll for you. Okay, take care.